Air India Flight 245 was a Lockheed L-749A Constellation named Malabar Princess, an aircraft that represented the cutting edge of aviation in the early post-war years. On July 3, 1950, it was operating a scheduled international flight from Bombay, now Mumbai, India to London, England, with stops in Cairo and Geneva. The journey was expected to be routine, as the aircraft was a modern, long-range airliner capable of handling the transcontinental flight with ease. On board were 40 passengers and 8 crew members, including experienced pilots who had navigated similar routes before. As the aircraft approached Geneva for a scheduled stop, it encountered adverse weather conditions. The pilots, following standard navigation procedures, attempted to descend toward the airport. However, the aircraft's trajectory led it into the rugged terrain of Mont Blanc, the highest peak in the Alps. At an altitude of about 4,700 meters, 15,400 feet, the plane crashed into the mountain, killing everyone on board. The wreckage scattered across the icy slopes, making immediate recovery efforts difficult. The tragedy shocked the aviation world and led to investigations that sought to understand how a well-equipped aircraft with an experienced crew could have met such a fate. The crash of Air India Flight 245 was significant not only because of the loss of life, but also due to the nature of the terrain where it occurred. Mont Blanc is known for its extreme weather conditions, unpredictable wind patterns and treacherous topography. At the time of the crash, there were reports of poor visibility and turbulence, both of which could have contributed to navigational difficulties. The aircraft was following a standard approach route, but may have been slightly off course, possibly due to miscalculations, navigational errors, or an unexpected change in weather patterns that affected visibility and altitude perception. As the aircraft neared Geneva, the pilots would have been relying on both radio signals and visual cues to guide them through the descent. However, in 1950, aviation technology was still developing, and the precision of navigation aids was not as advanced as modern systems. Without GPS or sophisticated terrain avoidance radar, pilots had to depend on ground-based beacons and their own calculations, which could be influenced by a variety of external factors. When Flight 245 crashed, the impact was immediate and catastrophic. The aircraft struck the mountain with tremendous force, causing it to disintegrate upon contact. The wreckage was scattered over a wide area, with some debris embedded deep in the ice and snow. In the aftermath, search and rescue operations were launched, but the high altitude and difficult terrain made access extremely challenging. It took time for rescue teams to reach the site, and when they did, they found no survivors. The harsh environment of Mont Blanc preserved some parts of the wreckage, and over the years, as glaciers shifted and melted, pieces of the aircraft and personal belongings of passengers continued to emerge. The investigation into the crash sought to determine the primary cause of the accident. One of the key questions was whether pilot error played a role, or if there was a failure in communication or navigation systems. Reports indicated that the aircraft was slightly off course, but the exact reason for this deviation was unclear. Some theories suggested that wind drift may have pushed the aircraft toward the mountain, while others speculated that an instrument misreading or a misinterpretation of radio signals could have led to an altitude miscalculation. The fact that the aircraft struck the mountain at an altitude where it should have been safely above terrain suggested that something had gone wrong in the descent planning. At the time, aviation accidents were investigated with limited technology compared to modern crash analysis techniques. Flight data recorders, or black boxes, were not yet widely used, meaning that investigators had to rely on physical evidence from the crash site, eyewitness accounts and radio transmissions to piece together what had happened. The findings from the investigation ultimately led to recommendations for improved navigation procedures, better weather forecasting for flights in mountainous regions, and enhanced training for pilots operating in challenging environments. The loss of Air India Flight 245 was deeply felt, not only in India but also internationally, as it was a tragic reminder of the risks associated with long-distance air travel in an era when aviation was still evolving. The passengers on board came from various backgrounds, and their untimely deaths left families devastated. Some were traveling for business, others for leisure, and some were making their way to Europe for personal reasons. The crash underscored the need for improvements in aviation safety, including the development of more reliable navigation aids and stricter protocols for flights operating near mountainous terrain. In the years following the accident, Mont Blanc remained a site of aviation-related discoveries. Decades later, climbers and explorers continued to find remnants of the aircraft, including pieces of fuselage, luggage, and even documents that had been preserved in the ice. The shifting glaciers of Mont Blanc occasionally revealed new artifacts from the crash, serving as eerie reminders of the disaster. In a strange twist, another Air India aircraft, Flight 101, crashed on Mont Blanc in 1966, just a few kilometers from the site of the 1950 accident, leading to speculation about navigational challenges in the area. Despite the tragedy, the lessons learned from the crash of Air India Flight 245 contributed to advancements in aviation safety. The development of terrain awareness and warning systems, TAWs, improved flight navigation procedures, and enhanced weather forecasting for pilots all became priorities in subsequent years. Today, modern aircraft are equipped with sophisticated instruments that help prevent such accidents, ensuring that pilots receive real-time information about their surroundings, even in adverse conditions. The story of Flight 245 remains an important chapter in the history of aviation. It serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by early airline pilots and the risks involved in navigating complex routes with limited technological support. The tragedy of the Malabar Princess left a lasting impact on aviation safety, influencing future protocols and encouraging ongoing improvements in aircraft navigation systems. Though time has passed, the memories of those who perished in the crash continue to be honored, and the site of the accident remains a poignant location where aviation history and natural forces converge. The incident also became a subject of cultural references, with the story of the crash inspiring books, films, and discussions about the mysteries of Mont Blanc. For those who study aviation history, the crash of Flight 245 represents a moment in time when the industry was transitioning from post-war aviation into the modern jet age, learning from each accident to build safer skies for the future. If you found this story interesting, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into aviation history and mysterious incidents. Your support helps us bring you more fascinating content. Stay tuned for the next video.